My name is Kayla. I'm 28, a delivery driver, a single mom. Every morning at 5:40, when my alarm goes off, my daughter Lily is still asleep. She's 4. She holds that beat-up rabbit, its fur almost rubbed off, her little mouth open like fish out of water. The rabbit's name is Ia. I bought it at a street stall for $2 when she was 1. She names every rabbit Ia, like every rabbit in the world was born with that name. I give myself 30 seconds in bed and listen to her breathing. Soft, steady, still sweet with that little kid smell. Then I run the numbers in my head. 120 packages, 12 neighborhoods, 4 office buildings. Don't run late, don't lose anything, don't get a customer complaint. I get up without making a sound. The apartment is tiny. 1 bedroom, 1 living room. Lily gets the bedroom. I sleep on the fold-out couch. 1 spring in the middle is broken, so every morning my lower back feels like somebody kicked me. I don't have time to care. I pull on my blue delivery uniform and tie my hair into a ponytail. The woman in the mirror has dark circles, but her eyes are still awake. That's the one thing my mother gave me. No matter how tired you get, don't let your eyes go dead. She used to say she was still working in the fields when she went into labor with me. She told me a woman can be exhausted. She can't collapse. She told me a woman can be exhausted. She can't collapse. Mrs. Margaret from next door comes over at 6 to watch Lily. I pay her $20 a day. It isn't much, but when you make $15 an hour, every dollar has to stretch until it hurts. She always brings an extra muffin and says she made too many. I know she didn't. She makes 1 extra on purpose. I kiss Lily on the forehead. That 1 word is enough to get me through the day. I stand in the doorway for 3 seconds. Her little hand is still gripping Ia's ear. Her blanket is kicked onto the floor. I pick it up, cover her feet, and leave. The delivery depot smells like cardboard, packing tape, and exhaust. The sorting belt hums like a giant machine that never really sleeps. Scanner in hand, I scan each package and load the truck by route. My area is the old East Side neighborhood. Low row houses, a few old apartment buildings, and 1 street lined with sycamores. I've had this route for 3 years. I could do it blind. I know which house has a dog, which porch step is cracked, which old lady will hand me a glass of water. Every door feels like someone I know. It's Wednesday. A normal day. At least that's what I thought before I turned onto Green Street. Depot manager Bob hands me a delivery with a mouth rolling everywhere. 17 Green Street? Last driver said nobody ever signs there. Give it a shot, but don't waste time. He doesn't look at me when he talks. He looks at the scanner screen. I glance at the address. 17 Green Street. I think I've delivered there once or twice, but nothing stuck. I clip the slip to the handlebar and start the delivery trike. In the mirror, the depot lights shrink behind me. The sky has just turned pale, and the streetlights are still on, a row of tired eyes. I didn't know it then, but that delivery slip was going to change my life. Not because of what it said, because of everything it didn't. Not because of what it said, because of everything it didn't. I know the old East Side neighborhood too well. The sycamores on Green Street cut the sky into pieces, and the sunlight spills onto the pavement like broken glass. Most of the houses have yards, flowers, blankets on clotheslines, kids' slides. Those yards have sound, dogs barking, children crying, lawnmowers growling. That's what life sounds like. 17 Green Street is different. It's a 2-story gray house, painted in the kind of gray that makes your skin crawl. Not light gray, not dark gray. The gray of old bone. The wall around the yard is high, with shards of glass set into the top, glittering like teeth. The iron gate is new. The stainless steel lock shines like it was changed yesterday. A new lock on an old house looks wrong, like a young face stitched onto an aging body. I press the doorbell. No answer. The bell sounds dry and rough, like a rusty throat. I press it again. Still nothing. I wait 10 seconds. A breeze brings a strange smell to my nose. I can't place it. Damp basement, old clothes, a trace of disinfectant. It's faint, like a strand of hair on your skin. You can feel it, but you can't grab it. I look down at the delivery slip. In the notes section, there's a handwritten line in ballpoint pen. The letters are tiny and crowded together, like someone wrote them in the dark, afraid the light would catch them. Leave it at the door. Do not knock. Do not knock. Not please don't disturb. Not leave it at the door. Do not knock. Those words have an order inside them. No room for questions. It isn't a request. It's a ban. I bend down and set the package on the step. There's dust on it and a few strands of hair. Long, blonde. When I put the package down, my fingers brush the surface of the step. Cold. October mornings are supposed to be cool, but not like this. This cold feels like it's leaking out of the house. I take the delivery photo. As I do, I look up at the second floor without meaning to. The curtains are shut tight. Not regular blackout curtains. Thick, black curtains that don't let a sliver of light through. I've seen curtains like that in movies. Behind curtains like that, there's either a dark room or something nobody wants seen. I leave. But the image burns into my head. The gray house, the sealed curtains, the new lock, the blonde hair, and that line, do not knock. They feel like beads on an invisible string. I don't know what the string is. I just know my palms are sweating. I tell myself not to overthink it. Maybe the owner has social anxiety. Maybe someone inside is sick and needs quiet. I tell myself not to overthink it. Maybe the owner has social anxiety. Maybe someone inside is sick and needs quiet. Maybe they just don't like being bothered. I'm a delivery driver, not a cop. My job is to drop off packages, not solve crimes. But that night, I lie on the couch and can't sleep. The broken spring digs into my back. I stare at the water stain on the ceiling. It looks like a face in profile, eyes shut, mouth slightly open, like it's trying to yell. When I close my eyes, that blonde hair floats in front of me. I've been a delivery driver for 3 years. I've seen thousands of doors. Every door has a mood. Some doors are open. Some are closed. Some only pretend to be closed. The door at 17 Green Street doesn't even pretend. It doesn't want you anywhere near it. She pads over barefoot and hands me her cup. Her little fingerprints are on the side. I carry her back to bed and tuck her in. Her hair is brown, not blonde. So why can't I stop thinking about that blonde hair?
But my stomach turns. It isn't food poisoning, it's instinct knocking from the inside. Like someone hitting a basement wall in the dark.
3 days later, another package comes up for 17 Green Street. Same address, same recipient, J. Smith. I've seen that name so many times it feels fake because it's too ordinary. Open any American novel and you'll find a few J. Smiths. The J could be John, James, Jane. You'll never know. The name works like an eraser, wiping a face clean. The note is the same. Leave it at the door. Do not knock. Same handwriting. Ballpoint pen. Tiny letters. But this time I noticed one detail. The last stroke of the Chinese word for do not drags downward, like the person writing it had a shaking hand, or was in a hurry. I set the package on the step and take the photo. This time, I don't leave right away. I stand outside the iron gate and listen. The wind stops. The leaves stop moving. All of Green Street feels like it's holding its breath. There's a sound from inside the yard, very faint, like someone dragging something across the floor. A chair, a box, or a person. It comes from inside the house, muffled by walls and windows, hard to read. But the rhythm is wrong. If someone were moving furniture, it would keep going. This sound is drag, stop, like something is being moved from one place to another, then back again, like someone trapped is measuring her cage over and over. I stand there for about 20 seconds. 20 seconds is enough for a normal person to take 20 steps. I don't take one. I'm nailed to the ground. I turn and leave, my heart beating faster than it should. Back in the delivery trike, I grip the wheel and don't start it yet. There's a thin fog on the window. I draw a circle in it with my finger. In the middle, I make one dot. A person looking in from the outside. or a person looking out from the inside? I don't know. I keep thinking about one question. If someone doesn't want to be bothered, why not ship everything to a pickup locker? Why not use a store pickup? Why insist on leave it at the door, forcing a stranger to come to your house again and again? There's one possibility. He doesn't just hate being disturbed. He doesn't want anyone at the door, because he's afraid someone will notice. But the packages still have to arrive, because they aren't really for him, they're for whoever is inside. But the thought sticks in my head like a thorn. Every turn I make, every bell I press, every time the next package isn't for 17 Green Street, the thorn goes in deeper. It doesn't hurt. It just stays there, like a locked door.
When I get back to the delivery depot that day, I don't clock out right away. Lily is having dinner at Mrs. Margaret's, so I have a little time. The depot lights are harsh and white, draining the color from everyone's face. The air smells like sour cardboard and bitter coffee. I sit down at a computer, log into the delivery system, and start pulling the history for 17 Green Street. The cursor blinks on the screen like heartbeat. In the past 6 months, that address has received 47 packages. The pattern isn't regular, sometimes 3 in 1 week, sometimes none for 2. But every delivery has one thing in common. The leave at door note was entered before the first delivery. That means no driver wrote it. The customer requested it. Before he moved in, or before his first package ever arrived, he had already decided, do not knock. Do not come close. Before that, I asked the coworker who's had this area longer than anyone. Dwayne. Old driver, 12 years on the route. He scratches his gray beard and thinks for a while.
17 Green Street, that guy? Think he moved in less than a year ago. Before him, it was an older couple. Wife passed, husband moved out. Then this guy showed up. Never opens the door. I've never seen him. One time I left a package and glanced back as I was leaving. A hand reached out and pulled the package in. That hand, real pale, like it never saw the sun.
I ask what else he remembers. He says he doesn't. But when he says that hand, I see something flash in his eyes. Not forgetting, refusing to think about it again. I look up J. Smith next. No phone number in the system, no backup contact. Just an email address made of nonsense characters, like somebody mashed a keyboard. I copy it into a search engine. Nothing. It's like someone sanded off his own fingerprints. Then I notice something else. Over the past 3 months, the packages have changed. Before, it was mostly household supplies, dish soap, paper towels, trash bags, bottled water. Lately, it's clothes. Women's clothes. A fast fashion brand, mostly sizes small and medium. I open the product page and look at the model photos. Dresses. Tops. Sleepwear. Not men's clothing. Bright colors. Pink, red, yellow. Like someone in the dark is trying to buy herself a little color. A J. Smith in a gray house, who never lets anyone knock, keeps buying women's clothes in small and medium. I come up with excuses for him. Maybe he has a girlfriend. Maybe he's buying for his sister. Maybe he likes wearing them himself. Any of those could be true. But every explanation makes me feel worse. If it's that simple, why won't he let drivers knock? Why no phone number? Why hide behind that wall? I screenshot every record I can see and save them on my phone. Then I back them up to the cloud. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I just know I can't delete them. Some things, once they're gone, never come back. Like a person. Once she disappears, no one may ever know she existed. That night, I pick Lily up from Mrs. Margaret's. All the way home, she chatters about preschool, who stole her crayon, who gave her a piece of candy. I listen, I smile. But in my head, I keep seeing those 47 packages. 47 times someone delivered something to that door. 47 times nobody asked, who's inside?
Episode 5, The First Stakeout.
Before dawn the next day, I make a decision.
I don't go to the depot first. I take my own e-bike and circle around to the alley behind 17 Green Street. The alley is narrow, barely for wide of enough person. Moss covers the base of the walls. The air smells like sewer water, urine, and rotting leaves. I parked at the mouth of the alley and pretend to check my phone, watching the back door from the corner of my eye. It's a metal door painted the same gray as the wall, almost blending into it. Beside it is a small window, boarded up from the inside. The board is new, no paint, the grain's still visible.
I wait a full hour. The sky turns from deep blue to pale gray, then from pale to white. A sanitation worker drives by in a garbage truck, glances at me, and says nothing. An old woman walks past with a dog. The dog barks at me twice. I smile at it. It stops. At 6:30, the morning is fully light. Nothing happens. The back door never opens. No window lights up. Not even a curtain moves. The house looks asleep, but without breathing. At 7, I have to leave. They'll already be loading at the depot, and Bob will chew me out. I ride back, cold wind hitting my face. In the mirror, I give the house one last look. A curtain on the second floor moves. Just once. Like someone lifted a slit with one finger. Then it snaps shut. My heart skips. I don't stop. I keep riding. But my hands clamp down on the bars so hard my knuckles go white. On my lunch break, I come back. This time I park across the street, put on a hat and sunglasses, and pretend to eat a sandwich. I pulled it from the fridge that morning. It's cold now. The bread is hard, the ham curling at the edges. I chew one bite at a time, never taking my eyes off the iron gate. 1:12 p.m. The iron gate opens. A man steps out. He's about 40, average build, wearing a jacket and a baseball cap pulled low enough to cover half his face. His head is down. He moves fast, like he doesn't want anyone to get a good look. But fast doesn't mean nervous. His steps are steady, each one the same distance, like measured with a ruler. He's carrying a black trash bag. He walks to the trash can at the corner, drops the bag, turns back, and locks the gate. The whole thing takes less than 2 minutes. Every movement is clean, no extra looks, no extra pause.
I don't get a clear look at his face, but I see his hands, pale, long fingers, nails trimmed perfectly, hands that don't do labor, not a worker's hands. Not a mover's hands, piano hands, or surgeon hands. Hands like that don't belong in a gray house that smells like disinfectant.
After he goes back inside, I walk quietly to the trash can. The bag hasn't been picked up. Black plastic tied in a tight knot. I crouch down and hesitate for 3 seconds. Then I reach in and pull it out. I take the trash bag back to the delivery trike, find an empty alley, put on my spare rubber gloves, and open it. The gloves smell like talcum powder. Mixed with the smell from the bag, it makes me want to throw up. I take a breath and start digging. Inside are takeout containers, used tissues, a few water bottles, regular trash. The containers still have receipts on them. Chinese restaurant. 2 entrees and rice, 2 orders. I check the date. Yesterday. Another containers from the day before. Also 2 orders. 2 people. Every meal, at least 2 people. But 3 things make my stomach tighten again. First, used bandages. 3 of them. Dried blood on the pads, tiny spots the size of needle pricks.
The bandages are small, not sized for a man's fingers, a woman's.
Second, a half-used roll of clear packing tape. Standard moving tape, but the inside of the roll is scuffed, like it was used to bind something and pulled hard more than once. I run my finger along the edge. Tiny rough burrs. Tear marks. Third, a broken plastic zip tie. A zip tie. I've seen these online. People use them when moving boxes or tying wires in factories, but those are wide and white. This one is narrow and black, the kind that can stand in for handcuffs. I've seen it in crime documentaries. People use them to bind victims' wrists. Zip ties are worse than rope because they don't need knots. One pull and they tighten, and the more you fight, the tighter they get. And you can't tear them apart. I hold the broken zip tie, my fingers shaking. It didn't snap in the middle. It broke at the locking head. That means someone pulled against it. Hard enough that the plastic gave out. I hold it up to my eyes. Tiny white stress marks show around the break. Marks from repeated strain. Maybe he was just moving. Maybe it was used for curtains. Maybe I'm making all of this up in my head. But my gut is screaming, no, you're not. What you're holding is a zip tie someone tore off their own wrist. I put the zip tie in a sealed bag and tuck it into my purse. I bag the bandages too. Then I tie the trash bag back up and return it to the can. I tell myself that if I call the police one day, this will be evidence.
If those women are ever found, this will prove what they lived through. Back in the vehicle, I sink into the seat and close my eyes. Lily's face appears in my mind. She's laughing. She's missing one front tooth.
So her smile has a little dark gap in it. It's almost too cute to survive. Tears rush up before I can stop them. Not because I'm scared, because I think of something that chills my whole back. Inside that gray house, someone may be waiting for her mother too. And her mother may have no idea where she is. I take a deep breath. I can't get hurt. I have a daughter. But I can't pretend I don't know anything. Because I'm a mother too. If someone locked up my daughter, I would pray that a delivery driver wouldn't walk away.
That night, I dial a number.
It rings 3 times. When he answers, his voice sounds tired.
Kayla, haven't heard from you in forever.
It's Tom. We went to high school together. Now he's a patrol officer in this district. We haven't talked in 3 years. Last time was a random run-in at the grocery store. He was pushing a cart and said his wife had just had their second baby. He'd gotten thinner, less hair. Life had written all over his face. Tom, I need you to check an address for me. No small talk. No time for small talk. He's quiet for 2 seconds.
Trouble?
No, but I think I found something wrong.
Wrong how?
I tell him everything about 17 Green Street, the do not knock notes, the dragging sound in the yard, the zip tie and bandages in the trunk. I try to stay calm, but when I get to the zip tie, my voice shakes, like a winter leaf rattling in the wind.
Kayla?
He finally says,
You know, I can't get a search warrant on this. No hard evidence, no report from a victim, no judge is going to sign off. A zip tie, bandages, 2 takeout orders, it's not enough. Any lawyer could say the guy's antisocial, or he hoards stuff, or the zip tie was left over from moving.
I know. My voice drops. Do you believe me?
Of course I believe you. But I believe you isn't evidence.
What if I find more?
Kayla.
His tone changes, serious now, slow, like he's talking to someone about to do something stupid.
Be careful. If this guy is doing something bad, he's not going to like a delivery driver watching him. He's not just some neighbor. He changed the locks 3 times in 6 months. 3 times. You know what that means? He's protecting against something. Against who? Anyone who gets close to that door.
I know.
If anything feels off, call me immediately. Do not go in there yourself.
Okay. After the call, I sit on the fold-out couch with the phone still in my hand. The screen goes dark. I wake it. It goes dark again. I wake it again. Lily is asleep in the bedroom, her steady breathing slipping through the crack under the door. I look out the window. The night is heavy. The streetlight throws tree shadows across the curtains like open fingers. Then a question hits me. Who is locked inside that gray house? No, not who. How many? 2 takeout orders, 2 bandage sizes, 2 dress sizes. That trash bag told me more than the iron gate ever did. But trash can't talk. It can only make me guess. And the answer I guessed kept my eyes open all night. Pretending it was the wrong delivery. 2 days later, I get my chance. Another package for 17 Green Street appears in the system. This time it's a small box, not heavy. Sender, a pharmacy. The word pharmacy jumps off my screen like a red warning sign. My heart speeds up. I can feel my pulse in my ears, buzzing. I load the package and deliberately bury it under a few bigger boxes, so I'll have more time before ringing the bell. I can pretend I'm looking for it while I'm really watching. I even park the trike farther away than usual, making the walk to the door longer. Every step is me trying to talk myself into it. At 9:40 a.m., I arrive at 17 Green Street. I press the bell, no answer. It still sounds dry, like a rusty throat. I press it again, still nothing. Then I take a breath and call out,
Delivery! I need a signature! This one has to be signed in person!
My voice is louder than usual, so loud I barely sound like myself. I'm playing the part of a responsible delivery driver, but I'm not really acting. I am being responsible. The door opens a crack. The man leans out. I can see his face more clearly than before. Long and thin, high cheekbones. Thin lips, pale, like he hasn't eaten anything warm in a long time. His eyes are small but bright, Not warm bright, cold bright. Like ice on a winter river reflecting the sun, with black water underneath. He wears a dark gray hoodie zipped up to his chin, wrapped tight around him. He looks over my uniform and says in a low voice, rough like sandpaper on metal, leave it at the door. I don't move. I lift the package a little higher, turning the pharmacy label toward his face.
Sorry, sir. Medication has to be signed for in person. I also need to verify ID. New company policy.
It isn't a new policy. I'm lying. But I don't blink when I say it. He frowns, two sharp lines cutting between his brows.
What medication? Who sent it?
I don't know. I just deliver it. Please open the door.
He hesitates. I use the moment to shift slightly and look past his shoulder into the house. Just one glance, less than a second. The hallway is long, dark wood floors scratched with drag marks, not normal foot traffic, marks left by something heavy pulled across the floor. The walls are bare and painfully white. At the end of the hall is a white door. Closed. A thin line of light slips out beneath it, so thin it looks like a strand of blonde hair. Then there's a sound, very faint, like knuckles tapping a wall. Tap, 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 tap. 3 taps, a pause, 3 more. SOS. In my head, I count the rhythm. Short, short, long, 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 short, short, short. Morse code. Someone is calling for help, behind that white door. The sound lasts only 2 or 3 seconds. Then it stops. Like someone's mouth got covered. Every hair on my body stands up. The sound lasts only 2 or 3 seconds. The second the sound stops, the man looks up. His eyes move from my uniform to my face. His stare is a scalpel, cutting from my eyebrows down to my chin. He's reading me, my expression, my pupils, whether I heard that sound. In that moment, I do one thing. I smile. Not a real smile. My delivery driver smile. Corners up, eyes a little narrowed, friendly on the outside and empty underneath. I've smiled like that at hundreds of customers. Every bell I ring, every package I hand over, every have a nice day, that smile is my armor. Sir, please sign here. I hand him the signature pad. My hand doesn't shake. Thank God my hand doesn't shake. He stares at me for 2 seconds. Those 2 seconds last 2 hours. Then he reaches for the signature pad. His fingers brush the back of my hand. Ice cold, not normal cold. The kind of cold that comes from staying too long where sunlight can't reach, like a basement floor, like a morgue table. He signs, shoves the pad back into my hand, and slams the door. I hear bolts slide behind the door, not one lock. 1, 2, 3. He's locking the door to his own house. Why does a man need 3 locks on the inside of his own home? Why does a man need 3 locks on the inside of his own home? I don't look back. But I slow my steps. 1, 3. I put each foot fully before lifting, and 3 of a run, he'll see my panic through the peephole. I climb into the delivery truck and shut the door. The second it closes, my whole body empties out. I collapse against the seat, gasping for air. My hands shake on the wheel like branches in winter. I bury my face in my arms. Those taps loop in my head. Tap, tap, Catman again. 3 tap, tap to 3 more. That wasn't someone playing on the wall. That was someone using the last strength she had to send the most important signal of her life. She was asking for help, asking the person outside not to leave. But I didn't rush in either. Was that right or wrong? I don't know. I only know this. If I forced my way in, he had 3 locks and I had 2 arms. He was a head taller than me, and I had no weapon. He knew every corner of that house. I had seen one hallway. I heard SOS on the wall. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short, 17 Green Street. Please come fast. The moment I hit send, the tears finally fall. Not silent tears. The kind that make sound in your throat. The kind you cry as a child with a scraped knee, face buried in your mother's chest. Because I know that behind that white door someone doesn't even dare to cry out loud. That night I don't pick Lily up. I call Mrs. Margaret and tell her work is keeping me late and ask if Lily can stay overnight. I hear concern in her voice, but she doesn't ask questions. She only says, Kayla, whatever you're doing, be careful. I sit on the fold-out couch with a notebook open in front of me. Lily gave it to me for Mother's Day. On the cover is a crooked flower. Mrs. Margaret helped write the words, but Lily drew the flower herself. The petals go outside the lines. That makes it better. Under the flower, I write a title. 17 Green Street, Observation Plan. First, track the delivery pattern. What time do packages arrive? What kinds of packages? What time does someone take out the trash? Which stores are the packages coming from? Put those details together and you can see what the people inside need and how much they need. Second, track movement. What time does the man leave? What time does he come back? Does anyone else go in or out? What's his license plate? When does he go to the grocery store? Does he go to the pharmacy? Every route is a piece. Put the pieces together and you get a map. Third, record sound. Can I hear the tapping again? Can I record it? Frequency, duration, spacing. It's all information. Maybe one day someone will hear it in court. Fourth, find other angles. What have the neighbors seen? Where is the driver who quit this route? Who pays the utilities on that house? Who owns it? Some of that information is in public records. Nobody looks because nobody thinks they need to. Write it all down, line by line, until 1 a.m. The ink level drops. The pen leaves a red dent in my finger. Lily wakes up in the middle of the night and comes out barefoot. She's wearing her pajamas with little rabbits on them, her hair a mess, her eyes half closed. She sees me still sitting on the couch and rubs eyes.
Mommy, why aren't you sleeping?
Mommy's thinking. Go back to bed, baby. She can't climb onto my fold-out couch. It's too low, and her legs are too short. She stands on tiptoe, leans in and kisses my cheek. Her lips are soft and warm and taste faintly like toothpaste.
Mommy, are you crying?
No. I wipe my face. My fingers are wet.
You're lying.
Okay, a little.
Why?
Because Mommy's worried about some people.
What people?
People Mommy doesn't know. She thinks about it, and somehow it makes sense to her. Then she says something I will never forget.
Are you going to help them? Like when you helped me find Ia?
Ia is her rabbit. Once Ia fell under the bed and Lily cried for 2 hours, I lay on the floor to the boards, reached under there, and finally pulled it out.
Yeah, Mommy's helping them.
She nods, satisfied, and walks back to the bedroom, her slippers padding on the floor. She doesn't close the door. She never closes her bedroom door. She says she's afraid she'll about wake up and not find me. I watch her small bag disappear through the doorway, and my eyes fill again. I barely sleep that night. Every time I close my eyes, I see the white door and that thin line of light under it. On the other side of that light, someone is lying awake in the dark, waiting for a delivery driver not to walk away, waiting for a cop to knock, waiting for a miracle. I start calling that miracle Kayla. Because that night, I decide I'm going to be it. Not because I'm brave, because I know what it's like to lie awake in the dark.
The next day, I left 30 minutes early and went straight to Green Street. I did not go near number 17. I went next door to number 15. Small white house with hydrangeas in the yard, all pink and blue and in full bloom. Kids' clothes hung on the line, girls' clothes, dresses, and t-shirts with bows. A pink child's bike sat by the door, training wheels still on.
I rang the bell.
30s opened the door with a one in her arms. There was chewing on a piece, drooling so much the front of the little shirt was soaked. The woman's hair was eek-ipe any which way. She looked as tired as I felt, dark circles, a little puffy, but her eyes were kind.
Delivery? I didn't order anything.
No. I wanted to ask you something. Do you know the people next door?
Her smile froze. She glanced that way without meaning to, then shifted the baby to her other arm. Fast, like she did not want the baby looking in that direction.
Honestly, no.
They moved in maybe 6 months ago, but I've never seen them talk to any neighbors. The man lives alone, I think. At least the only one I've seen. Sometimes food gets delivered, but they leave it at the door. My husband and my daughter climbed the fence once to look, and that man yelled at her. Really yelled.
My heartbeat picked up. What did your daughter see?
She said the yard was full of trash, empty bottles, takeout containers, old newspapers, and she said the basement door was open. It was pitch black inside, so she didn't go in. When she came back, she told me, Mom, there's a sound in there. I asked what kind of sound. She said it sounded like someone humming. Really quiet. Humming. Someone was humming. Someone locked in a basement was humming. Not crying, not screaming. Humming. That was what a person did when they were trying to stay sane. She was singing to remind herself, I am still alive. I am still a person. Have you heard anything strange? I asked. Sometimes, late at night, I hear knocking in the walls. I thought it was some kind of machine, but not exactly. After a while, you get used to it. In an old neighborhood like this, you hear everything.
Knocking in the walls. There it was again.
Thank you.
Are you that delivery driver? The one on the news? I froze for a second. The news? Was there already news? Not yet, I said. But if it ever gets there, I'll mention your daughter climbing that fence. She laughed. The baby laughed too, drooling even harder.
I started changing my delivery route. Every morning, I got to Green Street an hour early and parked where I could see the back door of number 17. Never the same spot. I changed it every day. Sometimes the corner, sometimes the lot across the alley. I did not want that man noticing the same vehicle showing up every morning. I even switched jackets twice. Blue, gray, black. Like a chameleon, trying to disappear into the background. The first day, nothing happened. The door never opened. I sat in the vehicle, listening to morning news on the radio, drinking gas station coffee. It went cold, bitter and sharp, but it kept me awake. On the second day, at 6:10 a.m., the back door opened. The man came out. This time he did not take out trash. He stood in the doorway and smoked. The smoke drifted through the morning light like a gray ghost. His face was hidden by his cap, but that this time I zoomed in with my phone and caught the scar on his hand. Long, from wrist to elbow, like a burn. The skin was puckled and lighter than the rest, like wax. He stepped on the cigarette, tossed it into the trash, and went back in. It left a small black mark on the ground. On the third day, 4 a.m., I was shaking from the cold inside the vehicle, wrapped tight in my work jacket, with a scarf over it. Mrs. Margaret had knitted the scarf, gray wool, scratchy against my neck. The sky was still dark. No one was on the street. The streetlights threw the plane tree shadows onto the pavement like open fingers. At 4:30, the basement window at number 17 lit up for a second. Not a lamp, a phone screen. Blue-white, flickering like a firefly. I held my breath, afraid the fog from my mouth would block my view. The glow lasted about 10 seconds, then it went out. Someone was in the basement. That person had a phone. But if she had a phone, why not call the police? Why not call 911? It is free. You do not need minutes. You do not need a perfect signal. 1 bar can be enough. Unless the phone was not hers. Unless he only gave it to her so she could look at something. Or use it while he watched, so it looked voluntary. Or she did not know where she was. Or she was afraid that if she called, she would be dead before police arrived. I wrote the detail down in my notebook and drew a question mark beside it. A big one, 3 lines tall. On the 5th day, another package came in. This time it was a big box, very light, shipped from a bedding store. I held the package in my hands on purpose and stood outside the iron gate for a few seconds. I was waiting. For the door to open. For footsteps behind it. The door opened before I even rang the bell. It was like he had been watching through the peephole the whole time. The second he saw the box, he opened it. He waited for deliveries like cat waiting for a mouse. He took the package without signing and started to shut the door. Hold on, sir. The box is a little damaged. You should check what's inside, I said. My voice was so steady it surprised me. He opened the box, annoyed. Inside were 2 bed sheets, light blue cotton, with soft against skin printed on the packaging. He flipped through them carelessly and started to close it. In that split second, I saw something under the sheets. A piece of paper, a delivery slip. But not the slip for this box. A folded scrap torn from another delivery slip, backside facing up. There was writing on it. My eyes caught only one word. Help. When I saw that word, it hit my brain like an electric shock. Not help, not all caps, not bold, just a plain, handwritten, crooked little help. Lowercase letters like someone wrote in the dark. Afraid to press too hard, afraid the paper would... He saw me looking, his face changed. Not anger, alertness. That was worse than anger. Anger makes me sloppy. Alertness does not.
You done looking?
He slammed the box shut and banged the door closed. I heard him moving fast down the hall, faster than usual, not steady like before. Then a door crashed open. Then a woman screamed. Short. Like something covered her mouth. Like thunder cut off before it could break her. I stood there, cold all over. The wind cut through my uniform, through my skin, into my bones. My fingers went numb around the signal pad. Not from the cold, from fear. Fear is not a body feeling, it is a soul feeling. I had not imagined it. That was a woman's voice. That day, I could not focus on deliveries. I pulled my 3-wheeler to the side of the road and shut it off. The plane tree shadows fell over me in patches, like bruised cuts. I opened my phone and looked at the photo from that instant. I had not even realized I took it. Pure muscle memory. In the panic, my thumb hit the side button on my phone. One picture. Blurry, shaky, crooked. Like somebody drunk had taken it. But it was enough. It was enough. I zoomed in, then in again. The pixels started to smear. The edges of the handwriting broke into jagged lines.
But I saw it. My name is Lisa. I'm locked in the basement. Help me. Please don't leave.
It was not just help. It was a whole sentence. A sentence written with every ounce of courage a person had left. The handwriting was messy. It was not pen. It was lipstick. Dark red lipstick, written across the back of a white delivery slip. Lipstick is hard to write with. You have to go over every stroke. Each line had a shadow. In places it was thick, like dried blood. How much lipstick did it take her to finish that sentence? How much time? How fast was her heart beating while she wrote it? The note had been slipped into the bedsheet box. She knew the package would be brought inside. She knew the delivery driver would stop at the door. She knew this was her one chance. She knew the delivery driver would stop at the door. She knew this was her one chance. She was using the last chance she had to send out a distress signal. Like a drowning person sealing their last breath in a bottle and pushing it toward shore. I stared at the words as tears dropped onto my phone screen. The letters swelled under the water, twisted, then came clear again. I wiped the screen with my sleeve. More tears fell. I wiped it again. I did that over and over until my sleeve was wet. She begged me not to leave. But in that moment, I turned and walked away. Not because I was scared, because I knew if I ran in then, both of us could die. That man was a head taller than me. I had no weapon. He had locks, doors, things I did not know about. 3 locks, a basement, zip ties, weapons I could not see. I needed the police. What I needed was not courage. It was evidence. Courage cannot break through 3 locks. Evidence can. I wiped my tears and called Tom. This time my voice did not shake. I need you here. Now. I need you here. Tom came, not alone. He brought a female officer in plain clothes. She looked about 50, short hair, freckles on her face, narrow eyes. When she looked at me, it did not feel like she was looking at a caller. It felt like she was looking at a daughter. That look made my nose sting. I showed them the photo. Tom's face changed. He was pale already, but in that moment he turned white as paper.
Kayla, when did this happen?
20 minutes ago.
He looked at his colleague, then back at me. Stay calm, sir. The female officer lightly touched his arm, telling him to stay calm.
You're sure this came from that address?
I'm sure. I watched her write it. No, not watched her. I saw what she wrote.
He took a deep breath. A long one, like a diver taking one last pull of air.
Okay. I'm going back to request a search warrant.
How long?
Today, if the judge moves fast.
And if they don't?
Kayla. His voice turned serious, not like he was talking to an old classmate. Like he was talking to someone he needed to keep alive. Like he was talking to someone he needed to keep alive.
You cannot go in there yourself. If you go in, you won't save anybody, and you'll get Marcel killed. This guy changed the locks 3 times in 6 months. He knows what he's doing. He isn't just some creep. He's organized. He's planned this. He knows how to watch for trouble.
I knew he was right. But my hands still clenched. My nails dug into my palm. It hurt. I did not let go.
How long do you need?
I asked again.
24 hours, max.
In those 24 hours, he could move them. Or worse.
Tom went quiet. He knew it too. His lips moved, but no words came out. The female officer spoke. Her voice was steady, River.
Kayla, keep making your deliveries. Keep eyes on that address. Anything unusual, call us immediately. We'll also request emergency authorization and see if we can set up outside surveillance. And send me every photo you took, every single one.
I nodded. I sent the photos from my phone one by one. When I got to the last one, I paused. It was the close-up of the note. The words "help me" blown up huge. I looked at those words, and I could almost see Lisa's hand shaking. 24 hours. I did not know if the woman trapped in that basement could survive another 24 hours. Maybe she had already survived too many of them, each one the last day, each one somehow not the last. That night, I did not go home. Lily stayed overnight with Mrs. Margaret. I said work needed me late. Mrs. Margaret did not ask questions, but the look she gave me said she knew I was lying. You cannot fool old eyes. They have seen too many lies. They know every color they come in. I parked in the alley across from 17 Green Street, turned off the lights, and sat in the dark. I did not turn on the heat. I was afraid the light would give me away. It was the kind of cold wind that comes near the end of summer. It smelled like leaves, smoke from a food stand somewhere far off, and flowers dying in somebody's yard. I wrapped my work jacket tighter, zipped it to my chin, raised the collar. The second floor light came on once, around 9. It was the hallway light, yellow behind the curtains like a half-open eye. A shadow moved, the man's shadow. He was holding a cup, walking to the window, then back again. The light stretched him across the curtain, long and thin like a stick. The basement lit up once too, not a real light, a foam flashlight, a thin blade of white leaking through the basement window. About 10 seconds after that, the dark felt deeper. Then came the knocking. Thump, 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 thump. This time it was longer, clearer. Not 3 knocks, 3 sets in a row, 9 knocks, SOS, 3 times. None of the knocks were loud, but each one was firm, like a heartbeat saying, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive. I lifted my phone and started recording. I cracked the windows just enough to let the sound in. In the recording, under the wind and insects, there was a faint but clear knocking sound. I played it once, then again. It was small but certain, like a child clapping in the dark, telling her mother, I'm here. Then I leaned back and closed my eyes. The seat was hard. The headrest dug into the back of my skull. I did not adjust. I did not need comfort. I needed to stay awake. I could not let her keep knocking on that wall in the dark with no one hearing her. I tried Svenska. A sound snapped me awake. Not the wall. A door. The iron gate, opening. Rusted hinges shrieking through the silence. I woke all the way up and sank down on instinct, leaving only my eyes above the window line. My fingers found my phone and hit record. The man came out. This time, he was not wearing a hat. His hair was dark brown, a little long, messy, like it had not been washed in a while. He wore a black jacket, zipped all the way up, collar raised. In his hand was a huge canvas duffel bag, dark green. It was heavy. He struggled with it, leaning to one side, every step sinking into the ground. He loaded the duffel into a gray van, backed at the curb, shut the door, and went back inside. The van had no license plate. A temporary permit sat behind the windshield. I zoomed in, but I could not read it. 5 minutes later, he came out again, this time with another duffel. Same dark green, same weight. He put it in the van, but he did not go back right away. He stood beside the vehicle, lit a cigarette, and looked in my direction. I held my breath. My heart pounded against my ribs. His eyes stayed there for about 2 seconds. Then he looked away. He took a deep drag, and smoke came out through his nose and mouth at the same time. He flicked ash, took 2 more pulls, dropped the cigarette on the ground, and crushed it with his shoe. Then he went back in and locked the door. He was moving things, clearing out the house. My heart dropped. He was going to move them. Maybe to another place, maybe. I could not let myself finish that thought. Tom's search warrant had not come through yet. And alone, I could do nothing. I had a delivery 3-wheeler and a phone. I picked up my phone and called Tom. Busy. I called again. Still busy. I texted. He's moving things. Possible transfer. Hurry. Anne has no plate. 2 dark green devils. 3 minutes later, Tom replied, Judge just signed. We arrive in 20 minutes. I looked at the house. Lights off. No light in the basement. No light upstairs. The whole house crouched there in silence like a grave. My fingers tapped on the steering wheel. Not moss coat. The rhythm of waiting. 20 minutes. 1,200 seconds. Every second felt like a century. But I did not move. Could not move. My job was not to rush in. My job was to stay there. Keep my eyes on that door. And make sure those women did not disappear from the world a second time. The first disappearance was the moment they were taken through that door. The second is the moment everyone forgets them. I was not going to let the second one happen. 3 police cars rolled silently onto Green Street. No sirens, no lights. They killed the engines and coasted in. Tires whispered over the asphalt, light as wind over sand. They stopped about 50 meters from number 17, shut down, and got out. Tom walked toward me in a bulletproof vest. It made him look bulky, like a soldier in armor a size too big. He tapped lightly on my window, careful not to wake the house. I opened the door.
You okay?
I'm okay. My lips were dry. It felt like they might split when I spoke.
He's still inside?
Went in 20 minutes ago. Hasn't come back out. The van's still there. Both duffels are inside. Tom nodded and signaled to the tactical officers behind him. 7 of them moved toward the gray house. 2 circled to the back alley. 3 took the front door. 2 carried Ram, black and cylindrical, heavy enough that it took both of them. I stood beside my vehicle and watched from a distance. My hand was in my pocket, gripping the broken zip tie. Its ridges dug into my palm. It hurt. I did not let go. When the Ram hit the iron door, it sounded like buried thunder, not the huge crash from a movie. Low, heavy, the kind you feel in your bones. My heart jumped with it. Boom. The door gave.
Police! Don't move! Get down!
Flashlight beams swept across the windows like searchlights. People shouted. Something crashed over. Footsteps ran up and downstairs. Radios crackled. From outside, I could not see anything. I could only hear the chaos and my own heartbeat. Then everything went quiet, too quiet. Tom came out through the doorway and looked toward me. His expression was complicated. Not relief, not anger, not grief. Something I had never seen before, like a man had opened a box. He never wanted to open and found something worse than he imagined. But also, a little better, I ran to him. My legs were weak. I almost fell more than once. Tom, are they in there?
2. Basement. Alive.
His throat moved, like he had swallowed something burning hot in that moment. My legs almost gave out. Not the kind where you drop to your knees. The kind where your whole body loses its frame and only willpower holds you up.
Kayla, you did it.
Tom caught my arm. I cannot answer. I looked at the door they had forced open. The frame was bent. The latch lay on the ground. Inside, the doorway was black, like an open mouth. But out of that black came 2 women. They were alive. Tears fell down my face. This time, I did not wipe them away. 2 women came out of the basement. When the first one was carried out, I could barely recognize her as a living person. She was thin as a frame, her skin waxy yellow, stretched over bone like thin paper. Her hair had been cut very short, exposing scars across her scalp. Not one scar, a whole patch, like someone had pressed too hard with clippers, cut her, let it scab, then shaved over it again. Her wrists had marks from zip ties, red, purple, scabbed circles, one after another, like rings in a tree. Each ring marked another time she had been bound. Her eyes were half shut, hurting from the light. The female officer wrapped her in a blanket and kept saying softly,
It's over. You're safe now.
The blanket was army green and thick, covering her like a cocoon. She did not speak. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Maybe her voice had gone unused for so long that the muscles had forgotten how to work. The second woman walked out on her own. She moved slowly, holding the wall, each step measuring the distance to freedom. Her hair was longer, tangled like straw. There were bruises on her face. Her left eye was swollen, and dried blood marked the corner of her mouth. But her eyes were open. She scanned everything around her. The streetlights, the police cars, the ambulance, me. She was looking to make sure it was real. Not a dream. Not a hallucination. Not some new way he had found to hurt her. She saw me. She stopped. Her eyes landed on my blue uniform. She might have seen that color before. Through a crack in the door, behind a curtain, past a hand over her mouth, across all those days in captivity. That blue shadow had a name. Delivery driver. She opened her mouth and made a hoarse sound I could barely hear.
It was you.
I froze. You know me?
You delivered packages. I heard your voice. You said delivery at the door.
That day, I put the note in the box.
She was the one who wrote the note. Lisa. I walked over and held out my hand. She took it. Her hand was ice cold, the bones pressing painfully into mine. Not regular thin, the kind of thin that comes from not eating properly for a long time. Bone right under the skin, no fat, no muscle, just a thin layer between her and the world.
Thank you for not leaving.
Then my tears finally broke. Not quiet tears, the kind of crying that makes a sound in the throat, like when I scraped my knee as a kid, like the first time Lily called me Mom, like someone finally setting down the heaviest thing in the world. I almost left. If I had not stood there those few extra seconds, if I had not heard that sound, if I had not opened that trash bag, maybe I would not be standing here today. That door would never have been forced open. That note would never have been seen. But I heard it. I waited. I did not leave. I am not a hero. I am just a delivery driver who did not walk away.
Episode 20. The basement. When the man was brought out of the house in handcuffs, I finally saw his face clearly. He did not lower his head or dodge the camera flashes. He looked straight ahead, calm in a way that scared me. Not the calm of an innocent man, the calm of a predator. He knew he had lost this round, but he did not care. Or maybe he always knew he would lose, and he had enjoyed the process anyway. Every day and night, every lock, every zip tie. It was his work. He was the author of it. Now it was destroyed, but he had still done it. When he passed me, he stopped for a second. He tilted his head and looked at me. There was no anger in that look, no hate, not even curiosity. Only one question.
How did you find out?
I did not answer. Not because I was afraid of him. He could not hurt anyone anymore. I did not answer because I did not want him to know. I did not want him to learn. I did not want him to become a lesson plan for somebody else. Tom later told me his name was Martin West, 43. 2 prior kidnapping arrests, one 15 years ago and one 8 years ago. Both times, he was released because there was not enough evidence. His name did not show up in the databases because he was careful. He rented under fake names, ordered online under fake names, got food delivered under fake names. He paid rent in cash and never used credit cards. His fingerprints were never entered because his earlier cases came before the fingerprint database was widely used. He was a shadow with no shadow in daylight. In the basement, police found things that were hard to take in. A partitioned off cell, about 4 square meters, smaller than Lily's bedroom. There was a mattress. No, not a mattress. 3 yoga mats stacked together like one. A sheet lay over them, light blue cotton, the same kind I saw in that box. A bucket served as a toilet, no lid. The smell filled the whole basement. There was a water pipe, cold water only. The walls were covered in acoustic foam, the kind used in recording studios, black and uneven. No one outside could hear in, no one inside could hear out. Screaming would not have mattered. If Lisa had not written that sentence in lipstick on the delivery slip, if Kayla had not seen that note, they might never have gotten out. The basement had no windows. The only door locked from the outside. Martin came down once every morning with food and water. He never spoke. He put the things down, locked the door, and left. Day after day, month after month, like feeding 2 birds in a cage.
Lisa had been held for 4 months. The other girl, Amy, only 19, had been held for 11 months. 11 months. I stood in front of that number for a long time. What had Amy lived through in 11 months? Did she ever wake up one morning and realize she could no longer remember what the outside world looked like? Did she ever think about giving up? Did she ever knock on that wall until her hands bled with no one hearing her? I crouched at the basement doorway and looked into the dark. That darkness was not black. It was thick, heavy, like mud. It had been piling up in there for 11 months. I reached out and touched the doorframe. The wood was damp, wet, cold, almost like skin. Behind this door, 2 living people had been held, skeleton to one man's footsteps, ate the food he brought, wore the clothes he bought. They lived under his rules. Every minute was mercy. Every minute was torture. I stood up and walked away. I did not want to look anymore. Not because I was afraid. Because I felt that darkness did not belong to anyone else's eyes. It belonged to them, and they were walking toward the light.
When they rolled Amy out of the ambulance, I saw her face. 19, old enough to be in college, old enough to be in pink pajamas in a dorm room, talking with roommates, complaining about cafeteria food, crying over a paper in the library at 2 a.m. Her eyes were big, but there was nothing in them. Not daydreaming, not tired. Something had been taken out of her. She didn't cry, she didn't smile, her face didn't move. She just lay on the stretcher, staring up at the ambulance ceiling. It was white. One light was on, bright enough to hurt. She never closed her eyes. One nurse took her blood pressure, the cuff wrapped around an arm as thin as a branch. Another started an IV in the back of her hand. When the needle went in, Amy didn't flinch, didn't blink, didn't react at all. Like the needle wasn't going into her body. Like her body didn't belong to her anymore. I stood outside the ambulance, looking at Amy through the open doors. I couldn't step in, so I stayed outside. I swallowed the tears, forced my mouth up, and gave her a smile. She saw it. She didn't smile back, but she blinked once, like some part of her recognized it. Lisa was loaded into another ambulance. Amy said nothing. Later, I learned Martin had picked Amy up outside a shelter in another state. Her parents died when she was 15. She spent 4 years moving through foster care, then ran. No one looked for her. No one reported her missing. In this world, she weighed as little as dust. In Martin's basement, she was the only long-term resident. Lisa came later. Martin approached her in a grocery store parking lot and said he had work for her. Lisa had just gotten divorced. She needed money. Lisa said Amy barely talked anymore. For the first 2 days after the rescue, Amy didn't say a single word. She just sat there, looking at the wall. Whatever the female officer gave her, she ate. She didn't refuse. She didn't ask. Seeing Amy like that, I finally understood what it meant to be alive, but not living. I sat in a chair in the hospital hallway for a long time. The lights were white, washing the color out of everything. A nurse pushed a defibrillator past me, the wheels squeaking on the floor. Someone was crying from a room I couldn't see. I looked down at my hands. Tape marks still clung to my fingers. Cardboard dust sat in the cracks. I had saved 2 lives. But sitting there, I didn't feel happy. Because one question kept coming back. What would have happened if no one had heard that tapping? That question stuck in my head like a needle. I couldn't pull it out.
Once the story broke, the media came in hungry. Cameras crowded the Iron Gate at 17 Green Street. News drones buzzed overhead like giant mosquitoes.
Reporters stood around in trench coats like it was raining. It wasn't. It just looked better that way. My photo ended up on several newspaper sites. Not because I had done anything big, but because I was the delivery driver. One reporter caught me walking out of the police station in my blue work uniform. The caption read, "Hero Delivery Driver Kayla." I looked at that word and felt like it didn't fit, like a borrowed coat. Sleeves dragging on the floor, collar slipping off my shoulder. A reporter filmed me sorting packages at the delivery depot. The headline was, "Heroes Clock In Too." Another showed up at Mrs. Margaret's door and asked,
What kind of person is Kayla?
She's a good mother.
The reporter must have wanted something sharper, because he asked.
Has she ever said anything that stuck with you?
Mrs. Margaret thought about it and said,
She said, "Do not knock."
Those 3 words became a headline. I stood in the delivery depot yard, surrounded by more than 20 reporters.
Bob stood next to me, blocking some of the microphones with his body. Somebody knocked his donut out of his hand, and he didn't even look down.
I didn't know what to say. My mind was blank, wiped clean like a board. Kayla, as the first person to spot something wrong, what would you say to other delivery drivers?
I looked at her. Her makeup was heavy, but there were dark circles under her eyes. She was working late too, losing sleep too.
Trying just as hard to leave some kind of mark on the world. The recorder in her hand had her station's logo on it, and under the logo was a scratch.
I thought for a second. Then I said one thing. Don't just read what's on the delivery slip. Listen to what your gut is telling you. If something feels wrong, it probably is. They played that line over and over. Later, the Delivery Drivers Association put it on a poster. After that, it was engraved on a plaque and hung on the wall at the depot. But I had spent all night finding that sentence. Before it, I thought of 100 other things, and none of them worked. I wanted to say, I'm not a hero, but people would think I was being modest. I wanted to say, I just did what anyone should do, but that felt empty. I wanted to say, please help Amy, but Amy's name wasn't public yet. The line I finally said came to me at 3 a.m, sitting on the pull-out couch, holding Lily's bunny.
It wasn't for the reporters. It was for me.
I was reminding myself, next time, if something feels wrong, I will stop again. Whether anyone sees it or not, whether anyone believes me or not, I will stop. After the story picked up speed,
Corporate called. Not to praise me, to question me.
Kayla, while performing your delivery duties, you conducted an unauthorized investigation into a customer address. That violates company policy on customer privacy. We'll need a written statement from you.
I was sitting in the depot break room, holding a cold burger. Bob had bought it for me, beef. The cheese had already gone stiff. Bob stood beside me, looking like he'd swallowed 100 lemons.
You're going to discipline her? She saved 2 lives!
The voice on the phone said something about procedural compliance. I couldn't take it in. I just stared at the burger in my hand and thought about Lisa and Amy. Had they eaten today? Was the hospital food any good? Had Amy spoken yet? Then the story turned. The media got involved. A reporter wrote a long piece called "Delivery Company May Punish Hero Who Saved 2 Women." It spread across social media like wildfire. People in the comments wrote, "Boycott this company. Kayla should be rewarded, not punished. From now on, I'm only accepting packages if nobody knocks." Corporate changed its position overnight. Public Relations issued a statement saying, "We are proud of Kayla. The company has always encouraged employees to take appropriate action in emergencies. Kayla is an example to us all."
Kayla has been named this quarter's Safety Star. $2,000 bonus plus company-wide recognition.
My coworkers clapped, loudly, but not for long. I knew what some of them were thinking. I could have done that. And some were thinking, if it had been me, would I have stopped too? I stood up front, not sure whether to smile or cry. $2,000, enough to cover 2 months of Lily's daycare. Enough to buy Mrs. Margaret a real Christmas gift. Enough to fix the broken spring in the pull-out couch. But that night, lying in bed, I wasn't thinking about the money. I was thinking, if the company had already had a suspicious delivery reporting process, would the old driver, the one who quit 3 months ago, have noticed something too? Would he have called it in sooner? Would Lisa have been spared 4 months of suffering? I opened my laptop. The screen lit up my face. I started writing a proposal.
3 days later, I went to the hospital. Amy had been moved to a regular room. The curtains were half drawn, and sunlight pooled on the sheets like gold water. She sat in bed, huck a pillow, looking the window. Outside, there was a tree with green leaves. Birds were calling. Lisa sat in the chair beside her, eating Jell-O. Her hair had been cut, not by Martin, by the nurses because the knots couldn't be combed out anymore. But there was light in her eyes now. Just a little, but it was real. It wasn't light from the window. It was coming from inside her. "Can I come in?"
Kayla!
Her laugh was louder than before. Not the small, careful laugh of someone trying not to take up space. A human laugh.
Amy didn't turn around.
"I brought you something. Not a delivery. Homemade." Amy slowly turned her head. Every movement was careful, like a frightened animal ready to pull back. Inside the paper bag were chocolate chip cookies I had baked. Lily helped. Her little fingers pressed the chocolate chips into the dough one by one, crooked and uneven. They came out lopsided and a little burned, but they tasted good. I added extra sugar on purpose. I thought she deserved something sweet. Amy looked at the cookies, then at me. Then she reached out and took one. Her fingers were thin. Her nails were cut short. There were scars on her knuckles. She took a bite, chewed a few times, like she was learning how to eat all over again. Then the tears started falling, not loud sobbing, quiet, soundless tears, slow as a river thawing. She didn't wipe them away. She let them run down her cheeks and drop onto the sheet, where a small dark spot spread.
It was the first time she cried. I didn't speak.
Lisa didn't either.
We just sat there and let her finish. The room was quiet except for the birds outside. Sunlight moved slowly across the bed.
Thank you, Kayla.
Those were the first words she said.
Her voice was tiny, like wind moving over paper. But it was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. Because it wasn't just a rescued person saying thank you. It was someone learning how to speak again, saying hello to the world.
During the investigation after Martin's arrest, the police found the driver who had quit 3 months earlier. His name was Matthew, 52, gray in his hair, a slight bend in his back. He had worked that route for 7 years, much longer than me. His knuckles were thick, and there was dirt under his nails that wouldn't wash out. That's a delivery driver's occupational mark. Every day, boxes and packing tape. Your hands never really get clean. I got his number and asked him to meet me at a coffee shop. He was there before me. When I walked in, he stood, slowly, like his knees hurt. He wore a plaid shirt with frayed cuffs. The black coffee in front of him had gone cold. He hadn't touched it.
You're Kayla?
Yeah. He sat back down and wrapped both hands around the cold cup.
I noticed that house about a year ago. The note said leave it at the door, but no one ever came to the door. Package would sit there for a day, 2 days, sometimes 3 before someone took them in.
You didn't call it in?
I did.
He looked up. Something moved in his eyes. Not tears. More like a light that had been put out once.
I called the non-emergency line. The dispatcher said, without clear criminal activity, we can't send anyone. I called 2 more times. After that, they told me to stop calling.
My hand tightened around my coffee cup. The ceramic was hot, but I didn't let go.
After that, I stood a little longer at the door every time I delivered there. Once I heard something, like someone tapping a pipe in the basement. I asked a neighbor. The neighbor said nothing was wrong. I couldn't prove anything.
So you quit? Matthew lowered his head. The hair on top was thin enough to show his scalp. His fingers tapped lightly against the coffee cup. No rhythm, just shaking.
My daughter said I was getting too wound up. Told me to ask for a different route. I did, but the company said there was a wait list. So I quit. Took a stocking job at a grocery store.
He looked up at me, his eyes red. It didn't come all at once. It had been building there, little by little, like cracks in a dam.
Kayla, I regret it every day. If I had pushed a little harder, if I had made one more call.
Matthew, you called 3 times. You did what any citizen could do. The problem wasn't you. The problem was the system. He didn't answer. His lips trembled. I reached across the table and took his hand. It was rough, with thick knuckles and heavy calluses across the palm. 7 years of delivery work had left its mark. Those hands had pressed thousands of doorbells. Those hands had set packages on the steps of that gray house, then turned away. When he walked off, he didn't know someone behind that door was tapping on a wall. Matthew, you made those 3 calls. They're in the system. Those records are going to help us push for change. They weren't for nothing.
Really?
Really? He nodded and wiped his eyes with his sleeve. The cuff of that plaid shirt was worn pale, and when it brushed his face, the fabric made a dry scraping sound. That night, I added 1 line to my proposal. Create a mandatory response system for suspicious delivery reports, so every something's wrong gets an answer. When I wrote it, I thought of Matthew. His 3 calls, the dispatcher telling him to stop calling, the last time he looked back at that gray house before he quit. Maybe in that last look he had already seen Lisa and Amy. But he didn't know it. He only knew something was wrong there. He didn't know what was behind the door. He should have known. Every delivery driver who rings a doorbell should know. When I got home, Lily was already asleep. I sat beside her bed and watched her. Her little hand still held EA's ear. She had kicked the blanket aside, 1 foot sticking out. Her toes were tiny, like 5 pink beans. I pulled the blanket up and covered her foot. She rolled over and mumbled, "Mommy." She didn't wake up, just talking in her sleep. I touched her hair. It was soft, not like mine, like her father's. He left when Lily was 1 and never came back. I don't hate him. Hate takes energy, and all my energy goes to Lily. But that night, I thought about a lot. If one day Lily were locked in a basement, would anyone find her? Would anyone notice packages piling up at her door for 2 days? Would someone call the non-emergency line, only to be brushed off by a dispatcher? I thought about Lisa. She had a mother. Her mother was in another state, looking for her every day. Lisa's photo was pinned to grocery store bulletin boards. Flyers had been passed around neighborhoods, but no one knew where she was. No one connected that flyer to 17 Green Street, because no one thought a man living in a gray house had anything to do with a missing woman, because no one thought a delivery driver's words deserved to be taken seriously. Because the system, from call lines to police staffing, from missing person databases to cross-state information sharing, was full of cracks. Lisa fell through those cracks. So did Amy. So did Matthew's calls. I had to change that. Not to be a hero. So Lily could live in a safer world. So if one day she needed help, someone would stop. Someone would hear. Someone wouldn't back away. I picked up my pen and wrote the final section of the proposal. Lily's clause. Every child deserves to be found. After I wrote that sentence, I cried. Not because I was sad, because I thought of the way Lily calls me mommy. When she says that word, I become the bravest person in the world and the most terrified. I worked on the proposal for a week. Every night after Lily fell asleep, I sat on the pull-out couch and typed on my second-hand laptop. A few keys stuck. I had to hit them hard. Most nights, my fingertips turned red. The proposal was titled, Suspicious Delivery Reporting System for Delivery Drivers, making the last mile the first line of safety. It included, first, create a dedicated suspicious delivery reporting channel. When a delivery driver sees something concerning, such as repeated do not knock instructions, ongoing deliveries with no visible recipient, or packages piling up for more than 3 days, do not take anything. The driver can report it in the app with one tap, without going through a depot supervisor. The button is red. It requires a second confirmation to prevent mistakes, but it has to be simple enough to finish in 3 seconds. Second, a mandatory response system. Reports must be routed to local police within 4 hours, and police must provide an initial review result within 24 hours. No more without clear criminal activity. A delivery driver's sense that something is wrong is a clear signal. Third, protection from discipline. If a suspicious report leads to a customer complaint or a delayed package, the driver is protected from punishment. No driver should have to choose between saving a person and keeping a job, including warning signs of captivity, abuse, and human trafficking. This can't be a check-the-box training. Every driver needs to know, your eyes and ears are part of the system. I sent the proposal to corporate, the Delivery Drivers Union, and several media outlets. A week later, the Delivery Drivers Union contacted me. They said,
Kayla, we're going to formally submit your proposal to the Industry Standards Committee. Would you be willing to make a public statement?
Yes.
After I hung up, I stood in the depot yard and looked at the sky. It was blue. The clouds were white. A bird flew overhead. I didn't know what kind, but it was flying high. In that moment, I realized I wasn't just a single mom delivering packages anymore. I was the person who found the gray house. The person who heard the tapping in the wall. The person who didn't leave. I was also the person who wrote the proposal. The statement took place in the Delivery Drivers Union conference room, around the long Zapateros, industry standards experts, and reporters. I stood in front of the projection screen wearing a borrowed blazer. Mrs. Margaret's. Too big, with the cuffs rolled twice. It was dark blue and smelled faintly of mothballs. Standing there, I could smell it on myself. My hands were shaking, but when I started speaking, my voice wasn't. 17 Green Street, the note said, leave it at the door, do not knock. I had read that kind of line 100 times, but this one felt wrong. I couldn't explain why. Then I heard tapping in the wall. Knock, 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 knock. I played the recording. The room went silent, only the tapping echo. I watched their faces. The union representatives' eyes turned red. The company executive's expression changed. The expert's pen stopped moving on the page. If delivery driver has had a formal reporting channel, Matthew, the driver on my route before me, would not have been brushed off. If delivery driver has had a formal reporting channel, Matthew, the driver on my route before me, would not have been brushed off. If his one tap report could have reached the police system directly, Lisa would not have spent 4 more months in that dark blue set. I paused. No one in the room made a sound. I took this job because I have a daughter to feed. But I'm not standing here today
Because I'm a delivery driver. I'm standing here because I'm a person.
and a person should respond when another person is asking for help. We don't need superheroes. We need a system that doesn't let a cry for help disappear. When I finished, the union representative was the first to stand to the crowd. I went back to my seat. My legs were still shaking, but I was smiling. Mrs. Margaret's blazer was too big. It kept sliding off my shoulders. I pulled it up closer to my neck. The mothball smell in my nose suddenly seemed beautiful.
It smelled like home, like an old woman baking one extra muffin, like someone waiting for me.
2 months later, the proposal passed. Not all of it, but the core pieces were added to the new delivery industry safety operating guidelines. The dedicated suspicious delivery reporting channel went live. Every delivery driver's app now had a red button that said will report suspicious situation. Matthew called me. His voice broke.
Kayla, thank you.
Thank you for making those 3 calls. They weren't for nothing.
The line went quiet for a long time. Then he said, "My daughter saw the news this morning and hugged me. She said, 'Dad, you're a hero too.'"
Tears fell down my face. Matthew wasn't a hero. He was just a man who made 3 calls, but his daughter called him a hero. Because in her world, her dad did the right thing. It didn't work then, but he tried. Trying matters. Sometimes trying is the heroic part. The company changed inside too. Safety Star became a quarterly award, and the bonus went up to $5,000. More importantly, the company started bringing in police on a regular basis to train drivers on warning signs of human trafficking, domestic captivity, and child. I became a part-time trainer. Once a month, in the depot conference room, I taught new delivery drivers, showed them a photo of that delivery slip. I played them the recording of the tapping of the wall. You'll deliver 100, maybe 200 packages a day. You'll see 1,000 doors, 10,000 delivery notes. You won't have time to stop at every door. But remember this, if one door makes you stop, if your steps slow down, if your heart starts beating faster, that's your instinct talking. Don't ignore it. Every time I said that, I saw people in the room nod. Those people nodding were future versions of me. One day, they will stand in front of some door and feel that something is wrong with these words. They will stop, they will press that red button. And behind that door, someone will be rescued. That person will say what Lisa said. Thank you for not leaving. The day Lisa was discharged, I went to pick her up. Her hair had circled back, soft and fuzzy, like a little chick just out of the shell. She had put on some weight. Color was back in her cheeks. The dark circles under her eyes had faded. She wore a red hoodie. She said red was her lucky color. The hoodie was huge, the sleeves covering half her fingers, but she did not roll them up. She held out a paper bag.
Open it.
Inside was a drawing. Lisa had drawn the moment when, in captivity, she wrote on the back of a delivery slip with lipstick. In the picture, a woman in blue work clothes stood in front of a gray iron door, holding a package. You could not see the woman's face, but her body was leaning forward, not turning away. Lisa, this is incredible. You should study art.
I did. Community college. I start in the fall.
I pulled her into my arms. Her body was not cold like it had been the first time I saw her. There was warmth now, not warmth from a coat or the sun, warmth from inside her, the warmth of someone coming back to life.
Kayla, you saved my life.
She whispered against my shoulder. Oh, you saved your own life. You wrote that note.
But you didn't leave.
I did not answer. I just held her. I held her for a long time. The sycamore leaves outside the hospital rustled in the wind, and the sun settled warm over both of us. Kayla, she said my name again. Yeah? I'm going to make you proud. You already have. She let go of me and wiped her eyes. Then she smiled. It was the first time I had seen her real smile. Whole, clear, no shadow in it, like ice breaking open on a river in spring, showing the water underneath. Clear water, moving water, living water. Martin West's trial began. The courtroom was huge. Solid wood benches, high ceilings, plaster patterns looped overhead like a maze. I sat in the 3rd row with Matthew beside me. Fingers kept tapping against his thigh. Not Morse code, nerves. His nails were cut short, and each tap landed dull and tight. When Martin was brought in, I looked once. His head was shaved. He wore an orange jail uniform. His wrists and ankles were shackled, but the way he walked had not changed, like he was crossing his own living room. The chains rattled around his ankles, but he did not react to the sound. His steps stayed even. He never looked at the gallery, not once. Lisa sat on the witness stand. She wore the red hoodie. Her hair was neatly brushed and tied in a low pony. Her voice was quiet, but every word was clear. She described being lured in, held captive, and abused day after day. She did not cry. Her voice did not shake. How did you send out the call for help? I put the note inside a delivery box. Were you scared? Yes, but I heard the delivery driver's voice. It was an ordinary voice, like anyone dropping off a package. But that day I thought, if I don't try now, I may never get out. It was the second time I saw her real smile. In court, on the witness stand, in that slant of sunlight from the high windows. She smiled like an ordinary girl saying hi to a friend. Martin was sentenced to 30 years. When the judge read the sentence, applause broke out in the courtroom. The judge struck the gavel and said, "Order," but no one listened. The applause grew louder, rolling in like a tide. The judge struck the gavel and said, "Order," but no one listened. The applause grew louder, rolling in like a tide. I cried in the middle of it. Not from sadness. It was that feeling when the stone sitting on your chest is finally lifted. Not one stone, all of them. Those stones were Lisa's 4 months, Amy's 11 months, Matthew's 3 calls, all those dawn hours I spent waiting in my car. Gone. Matthew was crying beside me too. He made no sound. Tears just slid from the corners of his eyes and down the lines in his face. He did not wipe them away. The bailiffs led Martin out. When he passed the gallery, he finally turned his head. He looked toward Lisa. Lisa did not look at him. She was looking at me. She kept looking at me. I wondered what Martin was looking for. He was looking at Lisa, looking to see if he had destroyed her. He had not. She sat on that witness stand in her red hoodie, her hair neatly tied back, light in her eyes. That light was his defeat. That light was his defeat. Amy did not come to court. She transferred to a recovery center in another state. The doctor said a change of environment would help. The center was out in the country, with horses, farmland, and animals everywhere. They said animals can help trauma survivors open up. I wrote her 1 letter every month. Not long letters, just a few lines. Lily learned to ride a bike today. Fell 3 times, didn't cry. The coffee machine at the delivery depot broke, and Bob lost his mind. I trained another group of new drivers. Someone asked your name. I told them you're a warrior. She never wrote back. I was not in a hurry. I knew the letters mattered more than the replies. Every one of them told her, "Someone remembered you. Someone kid has not disappeared." 4 months later, I got a letter back. The envelope had only my name and address on it. The handwriting was tiny, but neat. No stickers, no hearts, just a plain white envelope. Inside was 1 sentence. "Kayla, I'm learning to ride a bike too. I fell a lot, but I didn't cry. Thank you for calling me a warrior." I read it 3 times. Then I taped it to the fridge beside Lily's drawing. Lily's picture was a flower, with petals colored outside the lines. Amy's letter was 1 small, careful line of handwriting. They hung side by side, 1 hello like 2 people talking. That 1 sentence from Amy meant more to me than any award ever could. A girl who had spent 11 months in a basement was learning to ride a bike. She was falling. She was not crying. She was moving forward. She used the word warrior. That was how she defined herself. I did not give it to her. She chose it. She chose warrior. After Martin was sentenced, I did a lot of interviews. Reporters kept asking the same question, "Kayla, what made it possible for a delivery driver to notice something was wrong? Was it personal vigilance instinct?" My answer never changed. Yes, personal vigilance matters. But vigilance has to be backed by a system. I made a comparison chart. On the left was Matthew's experience. He called the police 3 times. Each time he was brushed off. He quit because nobody listens to delivery drivers. His 3 reports were in the system, but no one connected them, because the system was never built to connect them. On the right was mine. I called Tom, and he came, not because his police department was better than anyone else's, because we went to high school together. He knew me, so he believed me. Should not be the standard process. The standard process should be this: any delivery driver, whether she knows a police officer or not, whether she has connections or not, should have her report taken seriously. Her "something's wrong" should automatically enter a police review process. Her voice should not disappear just because nobody knows her name. That is what a system is supposed to mean. I posted the chart on social media. Overnight, it was shared more than 100,000 times. In the comments, delivery drivers started telling their own stories. One had found an abandoned baby. One had found an elderly person who had died alone. One had found an illegal marijuana grow. Some of their reports were taken seriously. Some were ignored. There was no pattern. It was luck. I read every comment one by one. Some made me laugh. Some made me cry. One was from a woman delivery driver. I saw something like that once. I called it in. The police came and said I was overthinking it. Later, something really did happen at that address. A girl was rescued, but not by me. By another delivery driver. She put 3 exclamation points after another delivery driver. I could feel what she meant. It was not jealousy. She was asking, why wasn't it me? Because her call had not been taken seriously. Because her "something's wrong" was dismissed. Because she had bad luck and reached someone who did not believe her that night, I picked up an extra night shift and turned the cases from the comment section into a report. I titled it, Ignored Voices, the Cost of a Missing Reporting System for Delivery Drivers. That report was later submitted to a congressional subcommittee. On the day it was submitted, I wrote one line on the first page. For Matthew, and for everyone who called and was not heard. 6 months later, I stood in a hearing room inside a congressional office building, not because I was important, because a senator had seen my report. Her name was Diana Carthy, 70 years old, silver hair. She did not speak loudly, but every word landed like a nail in wood. Her office walls were covered with photos. Presidents, foreign leaders, and her grandson. She invited me to testify at a hearing on community safety and coordination with the delivery industry. I wore the blazer Mrs. Margaret had lent me. This time, it had been altered, and the sleeves hit right at my wrists. Mrs. Margaret paid for the tailoring. She called it my battle jacket. Lily sat in the audience on Mrs. Margaret's lap, wearing enormous noise-canceling headphones because she insisted Mommy talks too loud. The headphones were pink, with cat ears on top. My statement was only 10 minutes. I did not read from a page. I looked at the senators in front of me, one by one. My name is Kayla. I'm a delivery driver. I'm a single mom. 1 year ago, because of a note on a delivery slip, I found 2 women in a basement. They are alive. Not because I was brave, because I heard knocking inside a wall, and I called someone who believed me. Not every delivery driver has a person who believes them. Every delivery driver should. We need a system. A system that sends a delivery driver's suspicious report directly into a police process. The driver should not have to know a cop. The driver should not have to bring hard proof. They should only have to say, something feels wrong, because instinct is not nonsense. Instinct is experience and training compressed inside the human brain. Our job is not to unpack it. Our job is to pass it on. When I finished, the room stayed quiet for a few seconds. Then Senator Diane started clapping. Her applause was not loud, but it was steady. After the hearing, Senator Diane came over and took my hand. Her hand was warm, dry, and strong. Kayla, you did very well. Thank you. Your daughter is lovely. With those headphones on, she didn't hear a thing. Diane smiled. That's all right. She'll know. She'll know her mother did the right thing. My eyes filled, not because I was touched, because thought of Lily. She sat there in those noise-canceling headphone zones, probably hearing none of it. But she would know. She would grow up and know that her mother once stood in that room and told powerful people, listen to delivery drivers. She would know. She would be proud.